Hello everyone and welcome to the second video in my series on the Analects of Confucius. We're going to be jumping into the first section again, to the second line, so Analects 1.2. If this is the first video of mine that you've seen on the Analects of Confucius, you can go check out the playlist if you want to see the other sections, the other videos that I've made. But otherwise, enjoy this video because one nice thing about the Analects is that each individual section that we're going to be looking at is independent, so they don't actually rely on you knowing the other things. We're going to be walking through each one of them, and by reading them all, by seeing them all, you might be able to develop a more comprehensive kind of view. But each individual video can stand by its own. Okay, so in this second section, we have something a little bit interesting going on. So first off, let's just put our lines in. So these, because of the way that the editor has punctuated this particular version of the Analects, we get some cheat codes that we wouldn't otherwise have. We have a quotation, which is this marker right here. We even have a little colon saying this is the beginning of the quotation. Whoever the person is that's saying the thing is coming before this colon. So we get a lot of hints on how to actually break this up. We know what this character is right here. We know it's a verb and it means to say. Yeah, to say. And that's the same one of like Confucius says, the master says, something like that. And actually we have master right here as a noun. That's master. It's an honorific, right? That comes at the end of a surname. So now we have a little bit of a problem here though, because we do have a character before it. So we could read this as being potentially an honorific on a surname. The interesting point, though, is that this character at the beginning, yo, is actually the existential verb to exist. Sometimes we can read it as to have. And so we have to deal with two potential interpretations here. One is that it says yo, surname yo, master, meaning master yo. But it could also mean as a as existential verb, taking master as the object. It could mean there exists a master who says. Okay. Now, for our purposes, it doesn't really matter too much in this single video, but as an overarching series, we'll have to come back to this question if it pops up again. Otherwise, there's very little that we can do to determine what the answer to this is. Now, for those of you who might know the answer, what this actually is, you can talk about it down in the comments, but the way that I want to read these is that we're coming in blind. We're not looking at any kinds of commentaries, any type of meta-analysis of the Confucian corpus. We're just reading a book. It's like we picked this up off the shelf and we started reading a text as if we were the first ones to read it, okay? So we're looking at the language and we see what we see, and if we don't understand it, we don't understand it. What we're trying to do is look at the potential possibilities of how to read it, and then maybe down the road we can use the knowledge that we gain over time to come to a complete conclusion. But suffice to say, we could say that this was Master Yo, or it could be there was a master who said, and now we're going to see what they're saying. Okay? So I've divided it into two big chunks here, and remember that classical Chinese is a topic comment form of language where you have a topic, something that you want to talk about, and then you have a comment, something that you're saying about the topic. Okay? So, um, this is actually a very complex topic, subtopic, comment type structure where you have actually a topic here and then a comment. So we have a topic and a comment line right there. Okay. So let me show you why this is a topic and then this subsequent section is a comment. So this first part, we have this character right here. Yeah. This is a marker of emphasis in some cases. We've seen it before in other videos as A, comma, B, yeah, which is a nominal type sentence where you have a noun and another noun, yeah, or some larger phrase and another large phrase, and yeah. where you draw a certain level of equivalence. It's not equal. It's A is in the category of B, basically. So if you have A, B, yeah, A is in the category of B. But that's not what we're seeing here. We don't have an A and a B that are being like some equivalences being drawn. Instead, what we have is this yeah being used as a marker of emphasis. Okay, and so what is it emphasizing? Well, we have these three characters here. This noun we know as person, 人, is a person. Okay, this verb, I know it's been seen in other videos, but we haven't seen it in this text yet. Way is to take, to be, or to act as. To take, to be, or to act as. Okay, and then 其. This here is basically a contraction of an abstract noun and a 之. So 之 is used to connect nouns together. It's used to connect noun phrases together. And so in this case, we have some abstract noun that we don't know about. We don't know what it is, but the author assumes that we can fill it in without him telling us. So again, this is noun 之, where the noun is unknown. Now, we need to do the job of figuring out what that particular noun is. And it turns out that in this case, it's more of the abstract someone, something. In the case of this, since we know that it's going to be referencing a person, we can basically say that it's someone. But so how do we know that? Okay. Let's think of it this way. If you take way and put it in front of a noun, to act as the noun. So to act as the person. Now, if you take a noun, verb, noun, you can just think of it as noun acts as person. Noun acts as thing. But in this case, we have noun, 之, verb, noun. And what that means is that the noun, the abstract noun, is being attached to a noun phrase. So we need to think of the verb noun here acting as a person as a nominal type construction, which means that it is the state of acting like a person. It's a gerund type form, if you're familiar with that word in English, where we're describing the action of the process of acting as a human. Okay, so someone's acting as a human, yeah. We're emphasizing that what we're talking about is the way that someone carries themselves as a person. If that doesn't quite make sense yet, I think it will make sense as we see the comment that's being made about it. But what we're actually going to see is we're going to see a complex comment here where we have two comments coming together on this one topic. The general topic is someone's acting as a person. Well, this is what it's like, or these are some characteristics of how people act. Okay, let's see what those characteristics are. So we have two very important terms here that generally tend to come together in very many places. The first one, 孝, is filial piety. So filial piety is basically the venerance of those older than you within the family, particularly between father and son. So the way that a son should treat his father in a venerance kind of way. So actually treating your father as someone superior to you fundamentally, respecting them. Let me continue this line down just to make it more clear. Okay, then T, sorry. T is fraternal, fraternal piety in a certain sense. Now, that's fraternal both in the sense of a brother as well as in the sense of a peer in terms of study. So, different disciples, the way that they interact with one another. It's the venerance between peers, like the way that a younger disciple treats an older disciple, the way a freshman treats a senior, those kinds of social structures, okay? And the combination of the two is that general venerance which goes along with these types of hierarchical structures in both the family as well as in the school. Okay. So, right. Now, let's understand the rest of it and we'll put it together too. So this R is a coordinator. I've talked about it in, I feel like, almost every video because it is so common. It's like a conjunction. It connects to verbs, it connects nouns sometimes. It's either and or and then or something like that. If it's connecting verbs, it generally gives you a chronological sequence that the first verb happens and then the second verb, things like that. So anyways, it connects things. It'll make more sense as we know the rest of the words here. Now this character here, hao, we know it as the hao of like ni hao, which means good, but this isn't actually hao, it's hao. It's an inflection of that word, which means to enjoy or to like something. So it's a verb, to like something. It takes an object. Okay, and actually these here are both verbs in the sense of they're stative verbs, they're adjectives, they're a way that someone acts. So you practice filial piety, or you are filial, or you are fraternal, those types of things, okay? Then we have fan, which is also a verb. Oops. Fan. Fan, which is to transgress, to attack, to go against something. Shang is a noun, which means the top. That which is above. Okay? And then we have a nominalizer. This zhe. Zhe is a nominalizer. It is a grammatical particle that is used to either convert something into a noun, to highlight that something is a noun, or to provide emphasis. And usually it does many of those things all together at the same time. Okay? Now we have to identify what it's nominalizing, but let's finish off the vocabulary and then we'll come back to that. So then we have xian. This here is actually a verb. It is a stative verb, okay, meaning that it's an adjective, but it means rare, like very uncommon in that sense, rare. Okay, and then this here is a final marker. It can be an exclamatory marker. It can be a L of the modern Mandarin type, which basically just you place it at the end of a statement, highlighting the fact that something has changed. Or it can just basically mean, and that's all. I'm concluding my statement. Okay, it kind of acts as a period in some senses, the way that a period works in English, and that's all. Okay, so we have our vocabulary for this little section. Let's try to understand what it says. So we have filial, fraternal, and like to transgress the top, zhe. We can basically see what that means just by looking at the basic words, what the definitions of those words are. So to act filial and act fraternal and to enjoy or to like transgressing the top, zhe. So one who enjoys, one who acts filial and fraternal and likes to transgress the top. What about them? Xian, they are rare. It is very rare to find someone who is both filial and fraternal and likes to transgress the top. So what is meant by the top? People above them, right? Because remember, filial and fraternal, that idea is that someone who is of a lower status will venerate the top. So who's the shang? Who's the top? The top are those people that are being venerated by the person who is filial or fraternal. Okay, so it's very rare to find someone who you would consider to be both filial and fraternal, and also enjoys to transgress people above them. Okay, so why is this a comment then? Because it's commenting on the way that people carry themselves. It's commenting on 其为人, the way that someone acts as a person. As for the way that someone acts as a person, one who is filial and fraternal and likes to transgress the top is very rare. And we're going to have another comment that's also coming off of this here. Let's look at the vocabulary, and then we'll get to the second statement. So what's the vocab? 好犯上. We've already seen that. That's right over here. So we don't need to go over that again. That's just to like to transgress the top. Now, how is it modified? It's modified by this 不, which is a verbal negation. That means that whatever comes after it is a verb. Whatever that comes after it as a verb is negated, so not the verb. Okay, so in this case, we had to like to transgress the top, add a 不 at the beginning, the verbal negation, and now we have to not like to transgress the top. Okay, simple as that. We've already gotten those first four out of the way. Then we have a coordinator again, same one as over here, and a connection between things. But so we have verbal negation, verb, noun, coordinator. Then we have that same verb to like, again, 好. Then we have 做, which is to make or do. Luan is also a verb, but since we need a noun here, we'll think about it this way. To make chaos. Literally, it means chaos, but it can also mean chaotic in the sense of a verb. So one thing that's really fascinating about the classical Chinese language is that if you want to take something that has a meaning as a noun and make it into a verb, you just put it in a place where you need a verb. Or if you have a thing that's generally a verb that has a certain meaning that you want to turn into a noun, you put it in a place to make it into a noun, and now it becomes a noun. The thing that's like doing that verb. So in this case, this chaos, 乱, usually comes in the form of a stative verb, an adjective, meaning chaotic. But it can also be taken as the object of a verb, where it then becomes chaos, the noun in English. Okay? And then we have our 着, which is our nominalizer. So this is actually a complementary type of person to this one over here. We have two different types of people. This one here, what are they doing? 不好犯上, to not like to transgress the top, and 好作乱, to like creating chaos. So one who does not like to transgress the top and likes to create chaos, what about them? 未之有也. So this 也, that's the actual sentence final A comma B type situation, which that actually informs all of our reading that comes before it, where we're making a category, right? We're a categorical statement. 其为人, the way that one acts as a person, that's over here. The way that one acts as a person is, there's this statement over here. There's a certain type of categorical statement. And in this case, what is our categorical statement? We have 有, our existential verb. We already saw it earlier, to exist or to have. Okay. Then we have a new type of verbal negation. It's like 不, but a little different. This one, 未, to yet to. So it doesn't exist, but we're adding a little bit of a nuance saying that it might at some point in the future exist, but it has yet to exist. It has yet to something, yet to eat, yet to drink, yet to sleep, yet to, in this case, exist. okay? Because our verb that we have is this one over here. Now, the problem in this particular situation is we have a 之 in between the two. And this is a very interesting grammar from classical Chinese, that when you have a negation and a verb and an object, let me write that. I don't want that to look like a noun, all right? I want to say if you have a verbal negation, and then a verb, and then a noun, an object. What you can do is you can actually take the object into the middle and create a structure that looks like this, assuming that you can abstract the object, meaning convert it into an abstract noun like this. 知 is an abstract noun. So actually what this is saying, you can think of it as being 未有知, yet to have it, yet to exist it, yet for it to exist. It does not exist yet. Okay? So it's a little bit of a weird structure. It's one of the kind of fascinating aspects of negation in classical Chinese. But so it's basically saying that whatever we're talking about, it has yet to exist. So what did we talk about? We talked about a person, someone who does not like to transgress the top, but likes to create chaos. They have yet to exist, meaning that it's exceedingly uncommon to the point that at this stage, no one like that has yet to appear in the world. It is unlikely, impossible perhaps, but not entirely, that someone who likes or who does not like to transgress the top but likes to create chaos will exist. Okay, so far we have that in situations of people acting as people, someone acting as people, one who is filial and fraternal and likes to transgress the top is exceedingly rare. Now, one who does not like to transgress the top and likes to create chaos, they have yet to exist. And then to finish it off, we have a generalized statement about the way that people should act, the way that people should approach being a person. Okay? So, what do we got? Vocabulary. 君子. So, this is actually a compound noun. 君子 is the superior man in the Confucian tradition. This is when Confucius wants to talk about the way a person should act, that person who acts that way is referred to as a junzi. So we often get it translated in English as superior man, sometimes superior person, but this is very patriarchal, so it's generally referred to as a man, right? But anyways, junzi, the person who acts the way that a person should act. Wu ben, verb, noun. This is a very important statement for Confucianism in general, okay? So, wu means to treat. Like a treatment type treat, or to work on, to develop, to provide service to. Okay? Bun, roots. Now these are roots like the roots of a plant. But when we talk about the development and cultivation of the person, the fundamentals of cultivation, the first things that you should look at are generally referred to as the roots. When you're treating an outward problem, the outward problem is a manifestation referred to as the branches, whereas the actual fundamental basis of the problem are the roots. We treat the roots before the branches, and we'll see that here. So, 君子务本. A superior man treats the roots. Then, 本, the roots, 立, to establish. 而 our coordinator. So this is a noun, verb, coordinator, noun, verb, 道. Road, path. This is the Tao of like Taoism, okay? And it's a very difficult concept to really narrow down into a single word, but suffice to say, it's something like a path which you should follow for some particular purpose. And as we read, this will become more and more well defined. But so Tao, road, sheng, to arise, but really fundamentally to be born. It's the verb to give birth to, okay? So roots are established and then the path arises or is born, okay? So the path to whatever we're talking about, perhaps being a person, because that's what we just saw in the earlier part. It's all about first looking at the roots. You treat the roots, you establish the roots, and then the path forward becomes apparent. It arises. It is born. Okay? Then we have a nice little break there with a period for the editor. 孝弟, filial and fraternal, right? Yeah. So we're emphasizing it, but not only just with yeah. We're also emphasizing it with 着. So this 也着 is a very, very strong emphasis. It's basically saying, as for 孝弟, as for filiality and fraternal, we're focusing in on it. Look at this. This is important. He's circling it. He's saying, look at this right here. What about it? 其为人之本与. 其为人. This is interesting, okay? Because if you go back to earlier, go back in the video, you'll see 其为人, but that 人, this character right here, we saw it as 人 person. But here we see it as 人, which is a fundamental characteristic of people that gets referred to many times throughout Confucianism that I really like the translation of humanity, because it's all about being human. It's all about being a proper person. It's a character of being that is associated with being human. Okay? And so we have this, it's called paronymasia, where you have words being used to refer like homophonously to other ideas, right? So how do you be a person? You be a person in a certain sense. It's kind of like that. How do you 人? Well, to 人, you 人. To person, you person. But anyways, 其为人. What was the structure? What did it mean before? 其为人. 其 was a noun 之, and this was a verb, and then this was a noun. So it was a noun being attached to a nominal phrase. Nominal phrase was to act as a person. Here it's to act humanely. So one's acting humanely. 之, this guy is the same 之 as this, so we have an even more complex kind of connection of things. Then we have root, but. And then we'll get to this one here in a second, but let's understand what comes before it first. 其为人之本也. What's the problem? Well, our reading was wrong. Why was our reading wrong? We saw the same characters before, and we see them lined up here in a similar way here, where we have 其为 and then a noun. But it's not quite right. Why? Because we need to put everything together. Okay, so this noun here, root, and then we have a 之 in front of it. And what that 之 is doing is it's connecting the things that come before it to the things that come after it. Okay, so it's roots. What kind of roots? 人 roots, meaning humane roots. Okay, the roots of humanity. Okay, What kind of roots? Humanity roots, the roots of humanity. Okay? Then this way is actually a different way. This is a different way. So this is actually the one to be taken as. Sometimes people simply just say to be. It's not quite that, but it basically means that. And then this qi is actually referring back to this over here. Qi, that thing, it's actually being used as a kind of this thing that we've just talked about, this thing that we've just referred to. So it's adding another layer of emphasis to xiao. So it really goes to show that, okay, this might not be the first line in the Analects. It's the second line in the Analects, and that probably means maybe it's important. And it turns out that there's so much emphasis being placed on this last little statement.孝弟也者 qi. All of these characters, all three of these here, are all basically emphasizing this right here. It's like putting a giant circle around this guy here. Okay? But I'm just going to back that out of there so it's not too messy. But anyways, as for filial piety, fraternal piety, period, exclamation point, the root of humanity. Taken to be, it is the root of humanity. And then this last character here, yu. This is actually another grammatical marker, which basically means probably so. Probably so, in the sense of it's a categorical marker, kind of like yeah acts as sometimes. This character right here acts as that kind of final marker, suggesting a categorical relation. This one's also suggesting a categorical relation, and it's also adding this kind of layer of it's probably this way, that's probably why, it's probably such. So what do we have here then put all together? 孝悌也者，其为人之本与. As for filial piety and fraternal piety, those things really are probably the fundamental root of humanity. Lots of emphasis, lots of exclamation points, okay? So put it all together, what do we have? Someone said, a master, maybe Master Yo, said that as for someone acting as a person, being filial and fraternal, and also liking to transgress the top, someone like that is rare. Someone who does not like transgressing the top and likes creating chaos has yet to exist. A superior person treats the roots. The roots are established, and then the way, the path is born. As for filial piety and fraternal piety, these things are probably the root of humanity. Exclamation point, big circle, highlight, underline, bold, italicize. Anyways, I think it's a really interesting statement, and it's going to be foundational to a lot of what else we see in Confucius. But suffice to say, that's where we're going to end today. That was Analects 1.2. I hope you enjoyed this. I love reading this, and I hope you enjoy reading it too. If you like this video, give me a like. If you like the channel, subscribe. I look forward to seeing you on the next one. But so until Analects 1.3, hope you have a great rest of your week.